Canes fans, we know you're disappointed. The Canes Nation never accepts a loss, and it certainly did not accept the defeat in College Station on Saturday night against Texas A&M. But deficiencies in a football program don't just disappear because of a coaching change and because everybody wants them to. And Miami's deficiencies showed up at the wrong time on Saturday night to negate what overall was a decent performance by the Canes, who definitely showed signs of clear improvement in many areas. It wasn't good enough on the road at night against a decent SEC team because there was very little margin of error against Texas A&M. You can't drop punts. You can't miss field goals. And you can't drop 7 passes either. You can't have bad penalties in the red zone. Do some of those things, and it becomes very difficult to win. Do them all in an environment like that with 107,000 people breathing down your neck, it becomes nearly impossible. So as we embark on a new edition of CaneSport Live tonight, the fan base is wounded, and so are the Hurricanes, who have lost their second receiver in a week in Jacoby George, who has a hand injury. The passing game is going to have to get a little more creative in the coming weeks without George and without Xavier Restrepo. Perhaps the tight ends are going to have to become a little bit more involved. Some new guys might have to be tried at wide receiver. But as much as anything, Miami just needs to stay the course and get ready for the ACC season that is just 2.5 weeks away. Hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, and we welcome you once again to CaneSport Live. This is your show. It'll be driven by your participation. The call-in number is 563-999-3550. That's 563-999-3550. We have over 100 open phone lines. You hit 1 on your keypad if you would like to come on the show. That puts you in the queue. We bring you on the show in the order that you land in the queue. Okay, so let's take a quick look and address some of these issues one by one before we get going tonight. Let's start with offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis, who has been taking a beating on social media, perhaps unfairly. I'll let you judge after we go over some of these issues tonight. When you dive deep into it, you start to see that the issues were not just play calling. Yes, Gaddis had a few calls that he would want back, but when you factor in all the drops, when you factor in wayward throws by Tyler Van Dyke, it's very difficult to pin this entire thing on an offensive coordinator coaching his third game at the school who has installed an entirely new system that the players are still becoming accustomed with and is not getting a level of execution that would be reasonably expected. It was a lack of execution and those drops that I think cost Miami at least 100 yards of offense at Texas A&M, plus multiple touchdowns. If any of those plays get made, the Henry Parrish catch early in the game where he had a wall of blockers, he clearly would have gotten inside the 10, might have even scored. That was huge. The Brashard Smith drop at the end of the game. Michael Redding running free through the Texas A&M secondary for a huge pickup, and Tyler Van Dyke unable to deliver the ball accurately. Add all of this stuff up through the course of the game, and it has a compounding effect and clearly was why the Hurricanes lost before you even factor in the muff punt by Tyreek Stevenson that gave Texas A&M a free 7 points. Let's take a look at that muff. You'll see the ball bounced high on Tyreek, who obviously made a bad decision and should have let the ball go. Listen, he's done this for several years in college football. He made a mistake. He knows he made a mistake. You have to be able to move on from it. And the defense was not able to respond in a sudden change situation there. Texas A&M scored in 3 plays. 2 plays after that muff, they had a 25-yard run down to the 3-yard line and then scored. That's not good enough either. So Tyreek's mistake was bad. Miami didn't lose just because of Tyreek's mistake. They lost because the defense didn't respond right there, maybe hold them to a field goal. There were a couple other defensive breakdowns and an otherwise very, very good defensive performance. And the offense was not close to maximum functionality. And that's why they lost the game. It all added up. So to try to pin it on just an offensive coordinator. I'm seeing a lot of criticism of the quarterback. Now all of a sudden, Tyler Van Dyke, who was a Heisman candidate a few weeks ago in everybody's minds, now all of a sudden he's not good enough. There's a lot of reaction going on here from a fan base that has justifiable reason to be on edge. I mean, it's been a long 20 years. People are tired of losing these games. Miami has not won a significant game, a significant national game on the road since 2005. So all of these feelings that are percolating to the top of the coffee pot, so to speak, are very justified and warranted. Okay. And I don't think anybody holds anybody in any ill will or anything because of it. I know there's been a lot of animated debate in the fan base, but I do think it's important to be fair. I do think it's important not to create a sour environment for, a group of, 90, 100 kids who still have an entire season ahead of them and really aren't playing terrible football. I mean, they slugged it out with an SEC team at the line of scrimmage Saturday night and really kicked their butt to a large degree, okay? Gained significantly more yards than Texas A&M. They had 27 first downs. This game was not a total failure from Miami, but the consistency wasn't there. And when you're going to go on the road to play a game like that, and I know Texas A&M was watered down because of their loss to Appalachian State, you just don't have room for some of those things that cropped up the other night and ended up, biting the Canes in the butt. So as Canes fans, you basically have two ways you can go. You can be critical, like many guys are. Like take RZ, one of the viewers on our YouTube channel who posted this morning, quit polishing the turd. This was still a failure. We've been losing games like this for too long. You can't blame fans who have been waiting 20 years for the corner to get turned under 5 different coaching staffs. Okay, that's one point of view. Or you could be positive and encouraged by the progress, the clear progress that we are seeing has been made, realizing that the team simply needs to stay the course and keep getting better each week. They will get another chance at a big win. If nowhere else during the schedule, certainly at Clemson. They will have another opportunity to get it right and win a big game on the road. So they need to progressively get better as they move forward. And an alternative point of view would obviously be to look at it through that lens and be supportive of what's going on in the program, what's going on the field. If Miami brings the effort that we saw on Saturday night and cleans up its act, I do believe that we will see this team in the ACC title game. All right, so much to unwind tonight, so much to talk about. We're going to go out to your calls. The number is 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the number 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. And let's start tonight in the 941. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
Hi, Gary. It's Meister Kane.
Hey, what's up, Meister? How's everything going?
Oh, I'm the first caller on tonight. Usually Glenn or everything beats me to it.
Well, you've done this before. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. Hey, I got you through. I'm in my studio. I got you through my sound system because, boy, for a while there, you sounded like you were distant off in a box. So I put you on the sound. I put you on my board, and I mixed you down, and then suddenly you came in clear. I don't know what you did, but now you're as clear as a bell, and I can finally hear you really good. So, but anyway, let's start off the show by saying this, okay? It's not all Gaddis' fault, all right? And I hate it when I'm right, when this happens. When I learned about Restrepo's injury, I knew that spelled trouble for Van Dyke because he was his go-to receiver. He was his best alpha dog. And I thought, man, we've had it. Now, I'm going to tell everybody in Canes Nation, myself included, we have to realize that this team, especially on offense, doesn't have the mental capacity and the physical capacity to recover from huge mistakes like this, such as turning the ball over on a muffed punt in a hostile environment like Saturday night at Kyle Field. I mean, that muffed punt in the first quarter, I think, is the turning point. Momentum suddenly swings back to A&M. You can see it in the body language for much of the game, I thought. With a roster here like this, there's just no room for error. Playing calling was limited, I thought, and a little questionable. Quarterback design runs don't work with this offense, in my opinion. Van Dyke isn't as fast as like Malik Cunningham over in Louisville.
No.
But what they really need is like a Jerry Jeudy or a Tyreek Hill or Amari Cooper or Jude Waddle for receivers. Trenches look very good on both sides of the ball, as I expected. Special teams, not so good, obviously. There's no excuse to muff a punt like that. Needs work, obviously. Getting pinned deep in your own territory, needing to drive almost the full length of the field. I think that was part of the reason why drives kept stalling in the red zone. And I can tell you, this is not a quick fix. A lot of us out there want to see this team get like a signature win, and the chance was there Saturday night. But the reality is, if something goes wrong, just one little thing, and there's no room for error here, when there's not a lot of depth and not a lot of experience in certain positions, it makes it just that much harder to get that kind of win. If Xavier didn't get hurt, well, maybe they had a better chance. But against Clemson, they'll have him back maybe. But will it be enough? Can't tell. Not betting the farm on it, though. I hope I'm wrong. But I think a 10-2 season is still within reach if everything goes right. It would be nice to knock off Clemson, though. What do you think, Gary?
I think Clemson's a long way down the road, Mikester. I think that right now they've got a couple weeks here. You've got the Middle Tennessee game on Saturday, and then you've got an open week. And they have to get everything right in the next 2 weeks. They got to figure out what receivers they can count on, figure out what adjustments they can make. I personally would go all in on the tight ends. Okay. I mean, that's the strength of your team. If Elijah Arroyo is catching one pass in a game, he's not being utilized enough. His play was the best play of the game last weekend. He's got to be used more. You can't use Will Mallory enough. And I think you got to get Jaleel Skinner, even if it's just a handful of plays, you got to get him ready to contribute as well. And, they, like I said, they have 2 weeks to get it right. I mean, North Carolina can score points. There are even though they're coming to Hard Rock Stadium, there is no telling what that game's going to be like. You are going to probably have to score to win that game, and they need to get the offense straight. Like, Tyler Van Dyke's going to get his act together. You don't go from being a 300-yard passer to spraying balls all over the place and being as erratic and inconsistent as he's been. He's going to get it back together. I think, he needs to, think about focusing just strictly on football for a while himself. I mean, things are not the same for him as they were a year ago. A year ago, there were no expectations. He was freewheeling it. This year, he's expected to contend for the Heisman. He's got agents. He's got NIL deals. He's got people talking about him going in the NFL draft in the spring. That's a whole different deal, man.
Right.
And that's a lot to manage on a daily basis, So I think there's a lot of things that could take place here in these next couple weeks, and they're very critical. They really are.
I mean, do you think TVD is under some kind of mental pressure, in your opinion, that with all this going on around him,
I think
a distraction?
I think we forget he's a young kid. I mean, he hasn't played that much college football. He's a second-year quarterback, and the expectations were pretty high. And he's got a new coordinator, a new head coach. He's learning a new offense on top of all the things that I just said a minute ago. I mean, there's a lot going on in that kid's life and in his head. And we have to remember, he's a young man, He's a college, third year kid now in college. So I mean, I just think that everybody just needs to chill out. I really do. I think that they got to get back to work, which with Mario Cristobal, is what's going to happen, and just attack these issues one by one, Mikester.
Oh yeah, I get it. Now, here's the one thing that kind of concerns me, though. If they go with a running game, I mean, I know Gaddis wants to go with a balanced attack, which is a great idea. But if they have to go with a running game, then opponents are going to recognize that. They'll stack the box and stuff the run and try to make us beat them through the air. And that's where your tight ends can come in to a certain extent. Maybe you Khalil as a decoy or something. Your thoughts on that? What do you think?
I don't think that's really an issue. I don't think it matters whether you run the ball or throw the ball, or I don't think they're too conservative. I mean, they threw 41 times the other night. I think all that's just noise. I think that they have a capability to do both, and I think they need to do both. And honestly, I was very impressed with the run offense. I like the schemes. I like the plays. I like the way Gaddis sets things up. I like the way he positions blockers to create big plays and gains. And I think the execution of it just needs to get a little bit better. I mean, there was one play the other night that comes to mind where Jalen Knighton, in fact, here, I'm going to throw it up on the screen right now real quick. Jalen Knighton has a clear path to the end zone. I'll show it again. Right. And he doesn't make a sharp enough cut and ends up getting tackled by the shoestring, and it cost him a touchdown. You score a touchdown on that play, it's a whole different deal, man. So these are little things that are keeping them from maximizing themselves, Mikester, and it bit them in the butt the other night in a game that they really could have, and maybe you could argue should have won. Well,
plus Parrish dropped that pass on that one play too.
Yeah.
He was gone to the end zone. If he didn't drop the pass, they could have scored on that one as well. It's just these little things, the drop passes, they keep coming up to bite them. I mean, I was at the game against Southern Miss, and they were dropping passes left and right, and I was like, man, they got a lot of work to do, Gary. That's all I can say. Is really they got just a lot of work to do.
They do, but it's manageable. I mean, there's clear progress that's been made. So,
I mean,
everybody has work to do in the third week of the season.
Oh yeah. I think a 10-2 season is within reach. You think so too?
I said 9 before the year began. I thought it was about a 9-win team. I better stay there right now. We'll see. We'll see how they improve. How things go.
What do you think the possible trap game could be? Could it be Virginia? Could it be Virginia Tech or Pittsburgh?
Virginia, Pittsburgh, even North Carolina, because they can score.
Right.
Florida State is somehow winning games. There'll be several close games. I mean, there's going to be, like any other season. You just got to find a way to win them.
Right. Yeah, here we go again, right? All right, Gary. Well, I'll let you go for now. We got some other callers that want to get on and have their thoughts. So thanks for taking my call, and I'll talk to you next time. All right?
No sweat, Mike. Hey, when do we get a song or a poem from you or something?
Well, still working on it. My lead guitarist is still working on it. He says he's got some cool stuff. I keep telling John, hey, Nolan, get to work. Let's
go, man. Let's go. We can't go through a whole season without some entertainment from the Mikester Kane.
I know. Well, this band here, I'll see if I can get the band over here. We'll work on it. Then we'll put it on the show for you.
All right, man.
Way, you sound great. You sound great through these speakers, Gary. You really do.
All right. Glad to hear it. And, we got video this year, so, feel free to send me a music video.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right. Take care, Gary. Talk to you next time.
All right, Mikester. Thanks for being part of the show. All right, 563-999-3550. 563-999-3550 is the number. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Want to hear from everybody tonight, okay? Well, I want to hear a cross section of opinions. If whether you're a first-time caller, many-time caller, I want to hear a lot of different viewpoints tonight. So give us a call, 563-999-3550, and make sure you hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go to the 786. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Gary, my friend, how are you?
Hey, what's up, everything? How you doing this week?
Hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. Glad to hear Mike Chicane being in the number 1 slot and hoping he's feeling better and getting ready for his.
No, you're not.
Down the road here.
No, you're not. You're mad that you weren't in the number 1 slot. He beat you to it. Tell the truth.
No, Gary. Hey, as long as it's not correcting me, I'm okay with it.
So what do you think?
Gary, we talked about. I think I emphasized that if we were going to win this game, if James Williams had to be a key factor in this game, had to really stand out, and hopefully Steele was going to use him in many different ways. And that didn't come about. He had a decent game. I think he graded okay for the most part, but still 2 missed tackles, 1 that led to a touchdown. So I was totally wrong on that. I was hoping for him to really take over, and he didn't on the defense side of the ball. But the guys who did were the guys up front. When you look at the job the defensive line did as a whole, I mean, man, they really did a phenomenal job of sticking to their keys. Really didn't freelance too much. There was a couple plays where I think maybe Harvey did and sort of measured it. But for the most part, that defensive line, I mean, the defense we're playing, Gary, we haven't seen this type of play in a very long time.
100%.
In this program. Would you agree?
100%.
I mean,
they were physical. They were physical. They were disruptive. Had a couple bad plays. People are saying, why is Leonard Taylor only getting 17 reps? Well, when it works, when what Leonard is doing works, it looks great. Like it jumps right out at you, and you're sitting there saying, "Oh my God, Leonard Taylor," and he does have that kind of capability. But apparently, he's not always keeping his gap integrity, and it can look bad sometimes too. So they're still working with Leonard on his assignments and making sure he's got everything down. I mean, he's got to be uplifted by the big plays he's been able to make the last couple of weeks. Now he's just got to, buckle down, get more consistent, and give the coaches confidence to give him more than 17 reps. But the whole line in general, you are absolutely right. They are playing great. The rotation's working. I personally kind of would like to see a little more Messidor and Agude. I really think those 2 guys are good. But Jafari Harvey has made himself, with this staff and this scheme, into a very good defensive end too. And it's taken some getting used to understand that. But, I mean, he really is playing well also.
And when you look at the job the linebackers are doing, I know that, Steve missed a big tackle and kind of overfed a couple of times. For the most part, the other guys got more snaps. I think the kid from UCLA started the game and Corey came back in. And then when you look at Corey, you mentioned some of the gambles at times that Leonard and even sometimes Miller will make. And if you look at what Flagg did, he did a phenomenal job of covering up their mistakes and making tackles. So I think the one guy that has done more than I expected so far this year on the defense side of the ball, especially linebackers, Corey. But knowing what his weakness is and knowing what the ACC, what we're going to be seeing, where everybody throws the ball, I really don't think that he was in this game anyway. I think this game plays to his skill set, which definitely gets to run a little bit better. But when you look at Wesley came in, had a couple of snaps. I don't know how many snaps Chase got, but they got some as well. So and the kids from UCLA, so you're starting to see a little bit more depth there. And I think you're going to get more and more contribution from these younger kids as we go. And I'm hoping that this week against Middleton, as he says, that they get a chance to really get some more reps in. Gary, you and I talked about the offensive side of the ball. The offensive line, much like the defensive line, is playing at a different level. The one thing I did notice is, and we talked about this, I think the first show we talked about it, it's going to take time for Zion to be not Zion. He's still not there. He still doesn't have his balance at times. Got run over a few times. But then, his athletic ability was able to save him a few times as well. So he's not 100% yet. I'd like to see him get more and more comfortable. But the guy that needs to be acknowledged, I think more so than anybody on that offensive line, is John Campbell. I mean, that guy graded out pretty well for the second week in a row. But if you look at his mentals, I don't think he had any mentals, Gary. And I think that's the first time in a long time that was the case. And when you take all that into consideration and how it impacts the quarterback, or the starting quarterback, and our franchise quarterback, the guy that really, I think, until Gaddis can figure out what his comfort level is, he's not the centerpiece of our identity on offense. And I think that's the problem here. He hasn't figured out what to do to get this kid's rhythm going. We talked about, I emphasized rhythm last week and the week before that. And I got to tell you, Gary, there's so many things that we're not doing on the offensive side of the ball. I understand why we're not, because we're trying to go ahead and predicate everything off the run. But for this guy to be at his highest level of having an impact on the game, of being able to carry the team, you got to go back to some things that worked out last year. Whether it's bubble screens, tunnel screens, a little bit more RPO. We've got to get back more the things that work for him. And I think that's the big issue, that Gaddis still doesn't have a comfort level as to where he's going to work best with, what scheme is going to work best with Tyler. And if you look at all the bad throws he made, one, he was about to get nailed. That completion to Arroyo, that's just God-given talent, that throw he made, because he threw that off his back foot and was getting hit by two guys. But if you look at his ability to go ahead when he has multiple times, he's not in sync. He's not comfortable. And all of the film that we saw last year on him, everything is up tempo. And I think he's got to find a way to go ahead and balance that out. So Gaddis has a tremendous task. And I'll say this much. Bottom line, we have to win every game. Doesn't matter how you win it, you got to win it. But for us to be competitive at the upper tier level of major college football, that guy has to have a major impact on the game. Throwing 41 times and only having about 5 to 7 passes dropped there, that's one thing. But having to throw 41 times is another. And that's the thing, is that people are going to say, just like you mentioned last week, Gary, well, load the box up, make this guy make throws. It was one. He received one thing. It was the man. We've heard three things so far. 3 different explanations of what happened to him on Saturday. And the bottom line is, and he admitted it today, is I've got to play better, and I can't miss that.
Yeah. All right. So a few things on what you're saying. Gaddis is, to me, from what I'm seeing, and I know he's taken a beating from some people. I like what I'm seeing from Gaddis. I like his running game. I don't think that the offense is too conservative. I think they're throwing the ball plenty. I think they want to throw the ball down the field. I think they do not have the receivers to do that very much. Okay. I don't see guys getting open. Now, I will qualify that by saying that I don't think they're going to face another secondary, maybe including Clemson, that has as the speed and the quality, even with 3 or 4 guys out in the game the other night, as Texas A&M. They are very deep in the secondary. They had a lot of talent in the secondary, and the receivers were having an extremely hard time getting separation most of the time. Now, then we saw other moments where they did get separation and they did get open, and then they dropped the ball. So these are fundamental problems that I don't expect to go away. I mean, I don't think they're suddenly going to become a great hands team. For example, I've been watching this now in spring practice, fall practice, and 3 games into the season. I don't think they're suddenly going to start catching everything, okay? I think you're going to have to live with some of these drops. But I think Gaddis is showing some flexibility in how they move forward offensively. I think he recognizes that Van Dyke is not performing at the level that he performed in the second half of last year. And I think he is taking it upon himself to figure out why and what he can do to change that. Okay. So we spoke to Van Dyke today, and he let the cat out of the bag a little bit. Probably gets slapped on the wrist for doing so. But and he kind of raised the point that they are looking at what was successful last year, and that they will be incorporating some of those Lashley concepts and plays into this new offense, because they worked with this personnel grouping last year. So I think, you may not realize you're seeing it moving forward, but I think we will start to see a sprinkling of Lashley plays that worked real well last year. And obviously they've got all that charted and researched, and it'll take them about 5 minutes to pull that out of the computers in the Schwartz Center and figure out what those plays are. And certainly Van Dyke knows what they are. So I think they're working on that a little bit, trying to find ways to make him more comfortable. And I think they'll get him going. I think that, he's got to play a part in it too, and maybe start eliminating some of the outside things that are in his life. Like, I don't think he needs agents around right now. I don't think he needs to be running off to NIL deals every 5 minutes and stuff right now, if he can somehow help it. I think he just needs to relax, let the games come to him. He's got enormous talent. And if he can do all that and the coaches can make it more comfortable for him, then I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and I have confidence that's going to happen as well. But one of the worst things I've heard since Saturday is, well, Mario, he's too conservative. Well, that's the knock on Mario. The prism of when he was an assistant in Alabama.
That's a bunch of nonsense.
The offense over there. You hear all this stuff, and I'm like, listen,
it's a bunch of nonsense.
Bottom line is this isn't an automatic pilot situation. This thing, there's so much work that goes into what they're doing, Gary, that it's hard to even go on the message board and read some of the posts, because you're looking at it, you're like, do you have a clue as to what's going on? And really, a lot of people don't. They're still trying to figure out their identity, and that means it's not about, hey, we're going to be a trench team, and then everything comes up after that. That's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to figure out. They're trying to change everything from the inside out, and that's hard. So you've got the physicality thing component already addressed, and you're seeing it on film against quality opponents. The next thing is to go ahead and find two things where your best player is making everybody else better, and that's the challenge right now. Will it happen? I think so, and I want to continue to say we'll be playing our best ball the last 5 or 6 games of the season. So if it means another loss or a couple of poor performances,
bite your tongue.
Be it. But eventually,
bite your tongue on that other loss stuff.
I'm sorry?
I said bite your tongue on that other loss noise. Forget that. Forget the other loss.
Oh yeah, hey, I don't want that to happen. That's why I also opposed it with another win. Wanted to combine it with that, but I think we're moving in the right direction. I agree with you, Gary. Things are going to get better. And I would think that this Saturday, one of the things that Gaddis is going to do is to make sure that we are making some deep throws. We're getting guys to challenge Middle Tennessee State. I love seeing people, so-called experts on Twitter and everything else saying how this is a cupcake team. When you've been in a place for 16 years and you have your system, and your system has put over 20 guys in the NFL in the last 16 years, I don't call that a cupcake system, Gary. Football is football. It doesn't matter about stars, all those good things that we've witnessed week in and week out since the season started. It doesn't matter. Anybody can beat anybody on a Saturday. That's just the way the game goes. So I would like to see him at least get him going a little bit, get the passing game going, and get our receivers to be a little bit more comfortable. And hopefully, Gary, their chemistry is getting better with tight ends. So hopefully we'll see those things. And again, I appreciate having a chance to get on here and and just share my own problems with everybody. But again, Gary, appreciate your time and looking forward to Saturday. And Mike, you came, man. You feeling better? Hope everything works out for you, my friend.
All right, everything. Thank you as always for being part of the show. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550 is the number. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. I did want to comment about one thing that he brought up, and that's this nonsense that's being spewed online, some of it coming from people at Oregon, about Mario Cristobal being conservative, okay? Mario Cristobal is not conservative, okay? He believes in the running game because he has learned that that's how you win national titles, by physically dominating people and being able to control the game by running the football. And it doesn't mean that you don't hit big plays in the passing game. You know, at Alabama, they hit plenty of them with Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper and those guys, and Calvin Ridley, guys that Mario Cristobal recruited, by the way, to Alabama. Mario Cristobal will go for it on 4th down as much as any coach in America, okay? He believes in going for it on 4th down. In fact, some of those 3rd down red zone run plays that you saw the other night were a byproduct of him telling Josh Gaddis, you have 2 plays to get in the end zone. The full intent of going for it on 4th down. But when the 3rd down play got blown up and now it's 4th and 5, 4th and 6, that's when he decided, you know what, I want the points here. And how can you argue with that when they had 2 shots, not 1, 2 shots in the last half of the 4th quarter to score and either go tie the game or even win the game if they could score on 2 possessions? So he put them in position. He managed the game. They fell behind by 14. He put his team in position to win the game. They just couldn't get it done. That's the way it goes sometimes. It's unfortunate, obviously. It's another loss. Nobody wants to deal with it or hear it. Totally understand. Nobody likes these constant losses, same thing year after year after year. But you would have to be blind to close your eyes and not see the progress that this program has made, that this program exhibited on that field Saturday night in terms of just pure physicality and being able to slug it out at the line of scrimmage. And there aren't going to be too many teams with fronts that they're going to face that are bigger, stronger than what Texas A&M put on the field the other night. I thought it was a great sign. I think it's going to bode very, very well when Miami gets into ACC play. If Mario Cristobal can keep those kids playing with the same kind of effort and they can will themselves to play as hard as they played on Saturday night. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Got plenty of phone lines for you. Want to hear from a lot of guys tonight. So don't be bashful. Get on the phone. Right now, let's go out to the 757. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Man, you know, I'm sick of you there. I'm sick of fans. I'm sick of the whole world. Everybody got something semi-negative, semi-bad to say. Oh, they love hitting the receiver. All the receivers drop balls. Well, let me explain something. I think I can analyze football just like you could. You be analyzing football like you know more than anybody else, and I get tired of that too. I don't want to hear it.
Woo! You talking about me? Whoa! No, man, I'm just doing my job over here, Kane.
You ain't getting no talk over me. Tyler Van Dyke has not looked good at all. I don't know if it's the NIL. You always want to say this man, the hell with that. Like your boy told you a couple of days ago. Damn. Well, your buddy, I forgot his name, but whatever. You know what I'm talking about. He said, everybody getting this. He's a quarterback. He just has to throw the ball. Some of them balls they dropped, it was bad. No doubt. But some of them balls was terrible. Like the one you threw to Rashad Smith deep. I seen Brinson cutting in the middle of the field. Now, they say our receivers can't get over, and you say it too. I get tired of that. We watch Tyler Van Dyke. He will lock in. And when he locks in, what do he lock in on? One person. He doesn't survey the field as much. Not saying, no, that's a bad thing. He got to survey the field a little bit more. These receivers are young. We're going to be all right. Everybody want to Rambo. Y'all praying for Restrepo. Restrepo did what the roof. Rashad, y'all kill me with this. And y'all like we don't have no receivers. These boys are going to be fine. This team looks 100% better in the last 20 damn years. if you want to be real about it, they played their butt off. They lost the game, and your boy, let me help you, your boy should never return a punt. He has no speed, and I'll tell you why. If you watch him play corner, anything after 10 yards, Stevenson is burnt every time. He's good from 5 to 10 yards out. Any guy going on the fly, he can't cover. It happened in the first game. It happened in the second game. And it happened last year. That's why Georgia didn't put him in corner. It makes sense. Georgia saw he ain't got the speed to be a corner. He could be a hell of a safety. He's not a corner. That's my opinion. But as Canes fans, we're going to be fired because Gary did say one good thing. We're going to win the Coast one. I've been telling people that. We're going to go to the playoffs. I got faith. Kings all day, Mario, Gaddis, I ain't worried about the play call. It'll be fine. Like you said, Rooster fell and stumbled. A lot of crazy stuff. And your boy did that spiking of the player. That was unnecessary. We don't got to stop with that craziness. He just should have just held the man. He want to be all extra and get 15 more yards. You can't have penalties like you said. Hey, Mike McCain, everything good, buddy. I'm back, baby. 305 ride or die. Oh, yeah, I'll be up there this week for the Tennessee game. It's a big game on Sunday, Miami versus the Bills. One love, hey, Gary. I ain't done with you, but I'm going to let you slide. You got to do with everybody else. Peace.
Boom! Wow. That was something else, man. Man, that's like, he's a little hard on Tyreek. Tyreek's been playing pretty good football. I mean, he made the mistake on the punt return, but I mean, for the most part, he's been playing pretty well. I don't know why he's being so hard on our man Tyreek. I mean, but I don't know. But anyway, all right. So let's get back to it. 563. I was just a little rattled by that. Wow. He said I only said one good thing. I mean, woof, we're 45 minutes into the show. Just one good thing? Man, that's harsh. Got to try to do better here. All right. 563. 999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Got plenty of phone lines. So come on, guys. Call on in, man. Let's hear your thoughts. Let's go out right now to the 304. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Good. Yeah, Gary, I'm with you on Gaddis. I am impressed with Gaddis. At the end of the day, I mean, he's calling the plays, and they got to be executed. They just haven't been executed. I am a believer that you put your best players on the field. So if we got to do a 2 tight end set, let's do it. Whatever you have to. Now, I will say that I was upset with Cane Nation when they were giving Tyler Van Dyke a hard time Saturday night. In the Sunday, I rewatched the game. I thought about it, and then I thought about it a little bit more. And last year, if I'm not mistaken, Garcia actually beat out Tyler Van Dyke, and he lost his job due to injury. So I think we're in a perfect position this week, and I like the fact that Coach Cristobal is not afraid, to put the best player in there. I think he ought to go to both of them and say, hey, Tyler, you get the first half, Garcia, you get the second half, and then you have a week to work on whoever performs the best. Because right now, I don't see Tyler Van Dyke going to the pros. And if he doesn't go to the pros, then we got a massive plus you-know-what next year.
Oh, my God.
And,
you're going to have to get an armored car to pull up to the Schwartz Center, I guess. I mean, the budget for quarterbacks next year, if Tyler Van Dyke comes back, oh my God! Just the NIL budget is going to have to go through the roof. I mean, it'll take a massive NIL deal to get Jake Garcia to stay. Everyone's going to be coming after him. Then you're already, committed.
And they should, right?
I mean, it's college football, man. I hope Jake sticks it out. I really would like to see him, play for Miami. But he's going to say, yeah, but I don't want to be on a 5-year plan.
Hell no.
I mean,
Gary, you said something on the post game the other night that, I thought about as well. This off season, I guess spring drills and all that. Did you say that Garcia did not get as much burn with the first team as he wanted?
I don't know about if he wanted or whatever, but no, I mean, Tyler Van Dyke was getting the bulk of the first team reps, and they were trying to get him ready in a new offense, and clearly they needed all those reps because he's still not totally comfortable with it. I think that's pretty obvious. But
again, this is what was.
well, let me just
I didn't really agree with the nation.
wait, time out one sec before we go forward. I just want to correct one thing you said.
Okay.
Jake Garcia never beat out Tyler Van Dyke. What I had said all along, which I believe to be accurate, was they were neck and neck. There was no clear separation, and I felt that if you had taken a poll of the entire organization last year in September, who will be the future at quarterback for Miami? I believe that it would have been about 75-25, and Jake Garcia would have won that vote in a blind vote because of the leadership intangibles that he was displaying at the time. Now, it's nobody's fault that he got hurt, and Tyler took the ball and ran with it and was a great quarterback last year. It's way too early right now for the people that are drumming up this whole trying to drum up quarterback controversy and say bench Tyler for Jake. They're not thinking like that. I mean,
is it, Gary? I mean, think about
it
it.
is.
Are we not in a good situation right now where we have Middle Tennessee State and then we have a bye week and we have 3 games from Tyler Van Dyke? Now, again, I'm telling you, I didn't feel this way, Saturday and really after Sunday. I really started wrapping around my head just yesterday and today. I mean, I just think we're in a good spot when it comes to really defining who our quarterback's going to be, especially if Tyler Van Dyke comes back next year. Because if he comes back, that means he has a subpar season. Am I correct?
Or not a good enough one to be a first-round draft pick. I mean, you're not subpar. Listen, if you're good enough to be a second-round draft pick, you're not subpar. But that would make no sense for him to go out into the draft this year unless he's going to be a top half first-round draft pick, because that is the type of potential he has over the next year and a half, and it would make sense for him to wait. Look how it worked out for Justin Herbert at Oregon, and Mario Cristobal is going to have that experience to fall back on. Probably can even have Tyler Van Dyke talk to Justin Herbert about that decision, why Justin Herbert chose to come back for another year, and how it worked out well for him.
Let me ask you this, Gary, because I've heard you say a few things about Garcia, how he's kind of, when he comes into a room, he's kind of got that it factor. He's kind of got that leadership mentality. I mean, has he lost that?
No.
And Tyler's picked it up?
Nope. And he has looked progressively, pretty well through the fall. They're very capable. Listen, if Tyler Van Dyke ever had to come out of the game, I don't think there would be panic on the Miami sideline about Jake Garcia going in. Let's put it that way. He doesn't have an incompletion so far this year. And he'll probably get to play some Saturday, I would think. Hopefully things go.
I think it would be nice I think we ought to take advantage of the bye week, and we ought to, it would be nice to see them just say, hey, you get one half, you get the other half. And, it's a business decision from Coach Cristobal.
Yeah, Mario's not going to. I would be stunned if Mario did that. He's not going to throw that drama into this team. Why? There's no reason to. They got way bigger issues than Tyler Van Dyke missing, 3-4 throws in a game that he can correct very easily just by throwing them better. I mean, completes them in practice. I've never seen him throw erratically on the practice field the way he has thrown some of those balls in these games. Now, why it's happening, I don't have an explanation, but I think there is reason to believe that it is correctable and will be corrected.
Well, I do agree with what you said earlier tonight. Going into the game, obviously Texas A&M, they lose to App State, and, even I kind of thought, yeah, we've got this. That defense was impressive. That defensive backfield was I think they are loaded with NFL talented defensive backs. And I just like the way we kind of stuck it. We stuck it out. I'm impressed with our defense. I would like to see a more defined depth chart, I guess is the best way to say it. I would, and help me with the freshman's last name. Is it Bastine? Is that how you say it?
Wesley Bassane.
Bassane. Even though he's getting a small amount of playing time, he sticks out to me when he's out there. he's very fluid versus our other linebackers. But I'm taking Corey Flagg out of it. Corey Flagg impressed me last week. I think he's had a ceiling, but besides that, he's doing his job, and I think people need dial back a notch on him. But with the Steen, he's very fluid, and I don't know. I mean, are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing? I'm impressed with this young man.
Yeah, I absolutely am. I think he's going to have a great career here. And you see them, they put him in the game late in the fourth quarter the other day. I was like kind of shocked.
Right,
but
exactly.
yeah, I mean, that shows you that they have confidence in him. They have confidence in him.
This week is something, yeah, and this would be a great week. I mean, we got to take this team serious. We got to take all teams serious. But at the end of the day, I feel like our schedule is set up to where we could really define our depth chart. People like Wesley, people like whoever else. I mean, we really have to nail down our receiving core too. I mean, it sucks that we lost George, Restrepo, but we're in bad shape. And I made a comment on the post game about having two backs, Parrish and Knight in the backfield. I don't mean pound the ball, but I think if you have Knight in the backfield and you put him in motion, I think that can really do wonders for us.
They were keying on Knighton the other night, so they were having a hard time getting go. They were having a hard time getting going with him in the passing game because Texas A&M, a part of their game plan was clearly to not allow Jalen Knighton to get the ball in open space coming out of the backfield catching balls, and every time he touched it, they tried it a couple times and they were all over him and they couldn't go back to it because it wasn't there.
But do you not agree? I mean, we're hurting a receiver right now, and really, if we have, I mean, it sounds crazy to think having two tight ends and two running backs in there, but I think Gaddis is he's got the perfect mindset to really utilize those four best players we have on offense. However he does it, whether it's motion, whatever it is, whether it's a split out tight end, who cares? I think he can get that done. And I think we have to play our best players.
Well, one thing I can tell you is when you don't win, it makes you go back to work and work harder. And I can assure you that they are pounding the midnight oil over there, looking at every possibility of what they can do to make this thing work better. There is no doubt in my mind about that. I mean, with Mario, you're already maxing out your time anyway, but there is no doubt in my mind that whatever they got to do, they will do.
Hey, two more things. I am so impressed with Alex Mirabal and our offensive line. I mean, it is night and day compared to what we had last year, the last few years. I mean, it's a blessing to watch. I understand we got what we lost, but we had two running backs that put up 80+ yards, I believe. And, barring some shoestring tackles, I mean, hey, it's nice to see Miami running the ball again. And the last thing I'll say, we were talking about trap games. Florida State's not a trap game. They're a rival. If we're going to talk about, and Pitt's not a trap game because, well, they're a top 25 team, I think, where they were. A trap game is Duke. By the time Duke comes around, I think on the 29th, they could still possibly be undefeated. Hell, I mean, that could be a primetime game. So, who knows?
Well, I don't know about that, but they do have some coaches on the Duke staff who were with Miami last year who obviously know the personnel very, very well. So that won't hurt Duke. But, I'm hopeful that Miami will be playing well enough and physical enough that they will be able to handle the Dukies.
Okay. Well, Gary, I know you got a bunch of callers, so keep me on the line, please, so I can listen in.
You got it, man. Thank you so much for being part of the show.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we actually have an open board. So 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Don't be shy tonight, guys. Let's go. I mean, I know you have opinions. I've seen what's been going on social media and the message boards. So give us a call. Let's hear what you got to say. In the meantime, let me hit these comments here. that are being posted on YouTube as people watch the show live. 818 Cali Kane. He wants to know why Miami did not hire an actual wide receiver coach. Thinks that it would have been beneficial. Well, the rules are still that you can only have 10 coaches. Okay, so Josh Gaddis is doubling up as offensive coordinator and receivers coach. You've got Kevin Steele on the other side, who's just functioning as a defensive coordinator. So I think it was just the way the staff came together. But they have several analysts and GAs that are helping Gaddis with the receivers. So it's not like everything is just falling on Gaddis at practice and stuff. I mean, he is the primary guy coaching receivers, but they do have several coaches that are working with the receivers. I don't think that that's an issue. I don't think that's why they're having some problems. I really don't. I wouldn't draw those conclusions. And Honey Ivy is making the same comment, saying that, and open checkbook with blank checks, and we have Gaddis doing two jobs. It really, they didn't really have the choice. Just like they're using an analyst to do special teams. Now, the NCAA is thinking of changing that rule. They are thinking of eliminating it and letting schools have all the coaches that they want. So we'll see if that ever gets put into effect. And if it does, then programs like Miami, which have a budget now, will be able to have additional coaches. And I think, you would see like a DVD added to the staff, and, you would see, Jason Taylor made a coach possibly, and things like that. So you will see more coaches designated if the NCAA ever passes that rule. They haven't done it yet, but they may, because there is a disparity right now in college football. Like the schools like Alabama have 1 million analysts. Okay. And listen, if you're going to allow all those analysts, you might as well allow coaches. I mean, what are you proving by not doing so? I don't think you're proving anything. So, we'll see how this goes moving forward. But I don't think that the fact that Gaddis is coaching the receivers is impacting anything in a negative way. All right, Christopher Wright says that special teams ain't so special. Not yet anyway, against good teams. I've been seeing this comment a lot too. And here's my question. A guy makes a bad choice on a punt return and muffs it, okay? The kicker, in an individual skill display, misses a field goal and gets one blocked. Does that mean that special teams in general are a problem on this team? Think about that. I don't put the two and two together. I'm not sitting here thinking, oh my God, Miami's got all these special teams problems because a few things went astray in that game the other night. I'm really not. I mean, I think that the special teams, they got a really good NFL special teams guy who came in as an analyst who's managing special teams. I think their coverage units have been fine. I think their kicking game has been fine, other than the couple problems they had the other night. I am not ready, CD Wright, to say that Miami has a special teams problem. I don't think you can say that. CD Wright also says that Miami didn't lose because of Tyreek Stevenson's mistake. I'm looking for a cup to see what you are drinking, Gary. Well, Zephyr Hills, man. Just pure Zephyr Hills. It's not spiked. I don't have any Tito's in here or anything along those lines. I don't know where you think I ever said that they lost because of Tyreek Stevenson's mistake. I don't believe that. I never said it. Not sure where that is coming from. But that is totally inaccurate. Okay. They did not lose because of Tyreek Stevenson's mistake solely, without question. Did it contribute to them losing? It absolutely did. But the defense had an opportunity there to hold them to a field goal attempt, and they were unable to do it. So don't they get some of the blame? They gave up a touchdown in 3 plays. You practice sudden change in practice all the time. You are supposed to hold that team to a field goal or no points if they don't make the field goal in that sudden change situation. They were unable to do it. So, yes, it contributed to the overall loss, but no, there were way too many other things that went on in that game that also contributed. And in no way, shape, or form did I ever suggest that it was Tyreek Stevenson's fault. All right. It is now time for the point counterpoint segment of our show with the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner, and our special alumni guest this week. And Bruce has made a request. He would like to introduce our special guest. Not quite sure what that means, but I got a feeling it's going to get interesting here in a moment. So let me go ahead and bring on Bruce. Bruce, welcome back to CaneSport Live.
Thank
you. Who's coming on with you tonight?
Well, before I do that, I do want to say something. I don't know if you know, I don't know if the Canes fans know, some of them probably do, but Robert Bailey's daughter passed away. And that was horrible. And I texted him before, and he's distraught. So on behalf of the Canes fans, I want to send condolences. That's
horrible. What happened? Do you know what happened?
He didn't tell me, but we were texting, and I said, listen, I know what you're going through, because he knows. And if you want to talk. But he was just distraught. She was such a pretty girl. I don't know what happened. But I just wanted everybody to know that, and I wanted Robert to know that all the Canes fans send their condolences and best wishes and prayers to him and his family. That's what I wanted to say. But my guest tonight is somebody who could answer some of these questions for us. It's former Cane wide receiver, Darrell Spencer. So we're going to put Spence on the hot seat now and talk about the difficulties that maybe Van Dyke is having by guys not running the proper routes, which is what Mario said the other day, and Gaddis, and guys that are not going far enough, or, those are reasons why Van Dyke might not be in sync with the receivers. So Darrell said he's here. Where's Darrell?
All right, let's bring him in. What's up, Spence? How you doing, man? You got any eligibility left? We can use you.
You might need some more light in there. But what's up, man? How you been? My Facebook friend.
Doing great.
Got to get it from. So let's start. Let's just put you in the hot seat. 7 drops. Van Dyke doesn't look sharp. Balls are going all over the place. So let's start with catching the ball, and let's start and also talk about the route running, because when you're not running the right routes, you're not getting the ball in the right spots, and that's what seems to be a complaint. Okay, so let's start with those. Talk about that, Darrell.
Well, I mean, route running, you have to do it every day to develop a rapport with your quarterback. Back when we played, we did it every day after practice, till we perfected it. So it's just repetition, really, over and over again till you perfect it. And as far as catching the ball, it's the same thing. You have to catch the ball daily. And really, I think what these guys aren't doing, as a receiver, you have to really concentrate on catching the point of the ball. You can't really concentrate on the whole ball, concentrate on the point of the ball. And that way it's easier to catch. And you'll be a lot more successful catching the ball for sure.
But Spence, what if it's coming at you a little wobbly, man, and you can't focus in on that point, which I did see a couple times last night. I couldn't believe it. Usually,
in college, you have the white stripe, so you can still see it. So it's a lot easier at that level to catch the ball and see the ball. So you have an advantage in college for sure.
So Restrepo's out. That hurt badly because he was like the go-to guy, and he was the comfort receiver for Van Dyke. You came off the bench. You didn't always start. You came off the bench, and you had to be ready, and you were ready. You made big plays. You knew, but I'm sure that your route running was just as good as the guy ahead of you, and your ability to catch the ball, because you had some great catches and runs. What is going on down there? I'm sure they're catching balls. They're catching balls in practice, but yet in the game the other day, they look so out of sync. It's not even funny.
I mean, sometimes, sometimes it's a mental thing. It's kind of like baseball, you keep striking out, it becomes a mental thing as well. So you got to be confident in what you're doing, what you practice every day, and go out and execute in the game. And I think these guys will get it sooner or later. We just got to build a rapport and just keep working at it every day. It's not easy at that level. The more you do it, the easier it gets, obviously, but it's going to take a lot of work to get better.
So, as Gary pointed out, all the new offseason, spring and fall practice, the receivers group didn't look good. And here we are in game 3, after game 3, and they still don't look good. So how do you gain confidence if you're not even in the game and you're dropping balls? And these are not 1-stars. These are 4, 3, 4, 5-star receivers that they've had over the last couple of years and this year.
I think it's just a confidence thing. Just going out and practicing and playing the same way you practice. You practice the way you play. I mean, play the way you practice for sure. So these guys, I think the reps, once they start doing a lot more reps, it's going to become easier in game time for sure. But right now, I think it's really a confidence thing, and they're kind of psyched out. Once you start dropping a couple balls, it becomes a mental thing, really.
Right.
That's my opinion.
And
it happened to me as well.
Could be
You
for the
drop the ball,
quarterback.
and next play you think about it, you might drop another ball. So.
Right. Well, would it be easier? I'm just putting you on the spot. Would it be easier if they threw some quick slants and maybe some bubble screens and something to get the kids the ball in their hands so they could run, and then maybe they'll feel instead of 20 yards down the field and they're getting popped. That team also played a 4-2-5, Daryl. So they had like an umbrella back there. So they were running right into that coverage. They should have been underneath a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I think coaching, I mean, the coordinator can make it easier for the receiver too. Get some easy balls, get your confidence, and then you start going down the field a little more once you build that confidence. So play calling can affect that as well.
Hey, Daryl, here's what I'm struggling with. Okay, so all these guys were very good high school players.
Yeah.
Romello Brinson, Jacoby's got a hurt hand now, but these guys, Frank Latson was a 5-star. I mean, these guys were very, very good high school football players and productive receivers who did not have these hands problems when they were in high school. Now all of a sudden they're in college. They're working harder than they've ever worked. Why? How does a receiver suddenly develop these kind of problems this deep into their career?
It's a little bit baffling to me too, because I want to see those guys do well. I followed them in high school and, signing with UM after that, and I figured they would all be great receivers. So, but like I said, I think it's more of a confidence thing. Once you start dropping balls and that becomes a mental issue to me. But I think the repetition, staying after practice, doing a little more work, those type of things, they help. They help. But I mean, as a receiver, you have to do things over and over and over again to be successful. That doesn't happen overnight. And you got to remember those guys that are guarding you; they're good players too.
Yeah, they're good players, but I think they should have used the tight ends more, especially underneath routes, and especially that Arroyo kid, who's a mismatch for most everybody. But they didn't do it. He threw him one ball the entire game. 41 throws and one went to Arroyo, and it was a nice play too. But I think you got to put him in there too. He's a mismatch for defensive back. He's like 6'5", 6'6", 240.
Absolutely,
and he can run.
Yeah. Our tight ends can be big weapons. I think they can utilize more. Especially if the receivers are struggling. I mean, you can spread a tight end out and do some of the same things, right, and use the big body to block off the defender and make the catch. So
they did that with Njoku. They put him out there, and he was a mismatch for people.
Absolutely.
But they should be doing that more often.
And even the young receiver Skinner, tight end Skinner, I think he can be a mismatch as well.
Right, and Gary mentioned that before. He might be playing a little bit more. Doesn't have a route running polish. He doesn't have the blocking down, but he's a mismatch in certain situations. He needs to be in there.
Yeah, and I think they're feeling a little bit of an urgency to get him on the field. I mean, he's not totally ready yet. He doesn't totally know the offense right yet and all that. But, you can't have guys like that just sitting on the sideline. They got to, even if they have to squeeze the playbook down a little bit for him and find 5-6 plays that he's comfortable with or whatever, they got to figure out a way to get him involved. Brashard Smith's a guy, Daryl, that kind of plays your old position.
Yeah.
And they're counting on him now, with Restrepo out, and this is what happens at the end of the game. the ball just goes right through his hands. And the thing that bothered me as much as anything there was his body language after he missed it. Like, he's just walking off the field like, oh, well, I mean, I was just baffled by that. But how does he bounce back from that?
It's you got to let it go and go on to the next play, go to the next practice, and keep working. And don't let the mental game get to you. I mean, you're going to drop passes. I mean, you get thrown to enough, you're going to drop passes. But sooner or later, you're going to get on the streak and start catching everything. If you're confident, you go out and work hard in practice, it's going to come to the game as well. So those things will translate sooner or later.
What you doing now, Darryl? Where are you and what are you doing?
I've been with UPS in management for 22 years now. It's my 22nd year.
Okay. And after Miami, you were with the Falcons for a couple of years.
Yep, I was with the Falcons to 95. I dabbled in the mortgage business a little bit after that, and then I went to UPS.
And your teammate, your other fellow wide receivers in your group were who?
Lamar Thomas, Horace Copeland, Kevin Williams, and then all the younger receivers as well. We were stacked.
That was that posse, right? Is that what they call it?
Ruthless posse.
The Ruthless Posse.
Yeah, and we got a show tomorrow night. We do with Lamar. Lamar hosts the show. Gary and Lamar and myself, but it's a great show. But Lamar, I don't know. He calls himself the greatest receiver in the history of college football. I don't know if that's true.
I am not surprised at all he said that.
he also admitted he didn't want to be in the weight room too often either. He ran the other way.
Lamar was our leader, and he was a great receiver, and he would tell you that too.
Yeah, well, you were dangerous, man. You were just dangerous with the ball in your hand. You know who you reminded me of? Remember Eddie Brown, Gary?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
But my God, he got the ball, he was gone. And that's what you were like. Just,
I
that was fun to watch, man.
That's a good person to compare to. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you were incredible.
All right, so Darryl, so was there anything that you saw the other night that jumped out at you that you liked?
I mean, I like the defense. I thought the defense played well. They kept us in the game. I mean, if offense, we made a few more plays on offense, we easily could have won the game. But the defense played well. I mean, I thought they played a lot better than they did the first couple of games. I think they showed a lot. So the offense can only make so many mistakes, and the defense still hang in there. So I thought they showed resilience, and they battled and kept the game close. We got to score more points on offense.
I thought the defense played really well, but there was a couple of lapses in there. The quarterback got out of the pocket, but we had Russell Maryland on the other day, and Russell talked about the importance of the D tackles. And if you watch this game again, you see every time the D tackles got pressure up the middle, that kid was in trouble. But when they didn't, and they didn't collapse that pocket, he had the pocket, and he had time to throw the ball. So, they played well, but they still need some fire from up the middle. Talk about Mario being here and your perception of what he's bringing to this program, to the school. I don't know how anybody could say they're disappointed. We've got so many people on the boards talking about this guy's terrible. This guy's terrible. What did Mario do? He sucked at Oregon in the big games. He loses this one. How could anybody say that? They're lucky they have this guy.
Yeah, they have no clue what they're talking about. I mean, Mario's from back in my day, was my teammate. He was a fiery guy, worked hard every day, and he'll build that same thing in his team now at UM. He'll bring us back eventually. It's not going to happen overnight. A lot of people thought Mario would just come in and we go straight to the championship. It doesn't work that way. Even Mario would tell you that as well. Yeah. It's going to take a lot of hard work, a couple of years, and we'll be there. Mario will get us there. I'm confident.
Are any of these receivers his guys? None of them, right?
What's that?
No.
None of these receivers.
I mean, the two transfers are, but
that
was just the best they could find in the portal.
Right.
Yeah.
But the defensive guys he brought in they're really helping out.
Very good players. Very good
player. Yep. I'm a little disappointed in the corner, Porter. He hasn't really done anything, but I think they're going to have to make some corrections and work at it. I think Mario loved the physicality. Right, they look good. They were on both lines were very physical. We didn't have that.
Yeah, that's definitely the difference. We look good in the trenches.
Yes, we did.
Our skill guys we have to improve in the skill positions, but in the trenches is where we've been failing the last few years. So I think for sure Mario will bring that back.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's crazy how
More
these things,
than 2 years.
isn't it crazy how these things go in cycles? Like you can never get it all together at one time. It's so hard. It's like 1 year you're strong here, you're weak there, then you fix that, and now you're weak there because you got graduations, departures, injuries. It's nuts. Hey, what is game day like for Daryl Spencer? Are you like throwing things at the wall when
Oh,
things
yeah.
go bad, or
It's
how
like I'm still playing.
fan are you?
I still bleed orange and green every day. Every day.
So you're yelling, you're screaming.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've been
shoes
down so
flying.
long, but I'm always repping my school. No doubt about it.
You stay in touch with the
I think
guys?
success will come back to us. It will come back. I think we got the right coach for sure. Mario will instill what's needed to bring us back.
You stay in touch with the guys?
Yeah.
You talk to
talk
LT?
to guys every now and then. I
LT's
haven't been down to
LT's
Miami
going to Orlando.
to the Florida State game, so
Okay. You be here? All right.
Oh, cool. Hey, when you were playing with Mario Cristobal, did you see that he would be a coach in the future? Did that ever shine through in those years?
It did. It actually did, because Mario, he's always been an intense guy, very smart guy, fundamentally sound, and I'm not surprised at all he went into coaching. Not surprised at all. Great guy.
Right. And look who he learned from: Jimmy, Dennis, and Nick
That's right.
Saban. You know, and he had that inner fire all the way back then. He had that inner fire and the
That's
toughness,
right.
mental toughness.
We all did. We all
You
did.
guys had mental
Yeah,
toughness. I haven't seen it in 20 years, but you guys.
Yeah, I mean, the coaches we had, they made sure we had that fire, every day. And what happened was the guys always came back, and we had something to prove to them. We couldn't let them down, the guys before us. So we always wanted to work hard to make sure we kept that tradition going.
I think they've got that kind of staff now. They really do. I think these guys are bringing the effort out of the kids.
Right.
I think the kids believe in their coaches. It gets tricky though when you lose a game like the other night. I mean, I remember when they lost to LSU a couple years ago, and they never recovered from that because they believed that they could compete with LSU in that game. And of course, back then we didn't know LSU was going to go on and win national title and stuff, but they weren't able to handle LSU, and I don't know that the team ever recovered from that year. How difficult now, having lost this game Saturday night, do you see that being difficult to recover from? I personally don't. I think that they will keep these kids focused and working, and they will come back strong. But how difficult is it when you build towards a single game the way they did this game? There's no doubt about it, and you're not successful.
Well, I mean, that's all coaching. One game doesn't make a season. It's a long season. Plenty of games to play. So that's up to the coaches to keep the guys engaged and look for the goal at the end of the season, because it's still attainable. As long as we win, it's still attainable. But we're gonna have to work hard every day to accomplish what we want to accomplish. For sure.
Right. That was a non-conference loss, so it doesn't.
Right.
It's a big deal, but not really.
And it was a big game that we wanted to win for sure.
Right.
But
it was a winnable game. We could have won that game
easily. I was pretty disappointed.
Yeah,
disappointed.
But they play Middle Tennessee. Should they beat them, they have a week off. Get ready for North Carolina in the ACC games. And I still think we're going to win the Coastal, but it's not going to be easy. No one's going to just hand it to us.
Yeah, no one's going to give it to you. You got to go take it.
Yeah,
you got to go take it. So
there will be some tight games.
Yeah, I mean, it's always competitive. Even though everyone's predicting us to win, we're going to have some bumpy roads ahead. So, but as long as we work hard and stay under control and keep working hard every day in practice, I think we can attain those goals.
All right, Daryl. Well, thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. We got to get you on the Lamar show at some point here too, so you can.
He tried to get me on last year. I had some complications, but
we'll make sure that we circle back to you a few weeks down the road or whatever, and we'll try to work it out that you come on with Lamar.
That'll be good.
That'll be cool.
I also want to say, give my condolences to Robert Bailey. What happened? I heard about what happened with him with his daughter. So really sorry about that, and condolences to him and his family.
All right,
guys.
Message me your phone number, will you, so I can call you. So when you're coming down here for Florida State, because I know Caesar and a lot of guys will be here, and I want to get together with you guys. Okay.
Absolutely.
You got it. Thanks, Daryl.
All right, Daryl. Thanks for coming on.
All right, y'all take care. Thanks for having me.
Bruce, we'll see you tomorrow night on the Lamar Thomas Show.
You got it. All right.
Yeah.
Have a
Have a good night. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's see where we are here. Let's go out to the 727. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Gary, it's Jake. How you doing?
Doing great, Jake. How are you, man?
Doing good. That was a tough loss. That was, the thing to me is what really bothers me is that I think we were the better team, and we just couldn't punch it in the end zone. That was, we had what, 8-9 drives that went beyond the 50 and 9 points. I mean, I had a party at my house, and the next day, one of my friends came over, and I read him our stat line, and he's like, bullshit, no way. He's like, you got it the other way around. And that was just tough because, I mean, to just outperform them in almost every aspect and not win, that was just a bummer because you
frustrating
beating them up in the line of scrimmage. What's that?
It's frustrating. You're so invested in. I mean, you saw how hard the kids were playing. I mean, they couldn't have been trying harder or playing harder. It would have been impossible to play any harder than they played, and it didn't go their way, and it's frustrating.
One thing, I brought it up last week, and this was a concern of mine. I didn't like the idea of opening up the playbook for the first time at Kyle Field. And I think it looked rusty. I mean, it was working in some areas, but they had red zone issues against Southern Miss too. They kicked 3 field goals in that game. They didn't exactly dominate in the plus side of the field. And I wish they would have maybe gotten a little more open, a little more creative the week before, gotten those guys a look. I mean, I know. And the other thing is the couple of trick plays he ran, A&M had those things dead to rights, where I think if they would have showed a little bit more, that just would have kept them on their toes a little bit more. But I mean, it's nitpicking. Overall, pretty happy with the direction things are going. Especially the line of scrimmage. Who would have thought, man? I mean, the idea of going to A&M, first of all, I think A&M is way overrated. I still do. I think if we play,
they are and they're not.
10 times, we win 8 of them.
Especially if some of them are at home, sure. But they are and they're not. I mean, they have a lot of good players in spots. I mean, they really do. They've recruited very, very well there. They have
They've got a lot of good recruits, but none of those guys are proven. I mean, we're going on star ranking with that. I mean, I think we get a little too sometimes. Well, I mean, you guys are just talking about the wide receivers, and admit I like most of what you say, but when you say we don't have guys with speed, I'm just like, we do. Charleston Rambo wasn't even he ran a 4.6 at the pro day.
But he ran good routes, and he was a better receiver than these guys are.
Well, that's your key. He ran good routes. That's practice.
And he caught the football.
That's not natural. I mean,
and he caught the ball.
What's that?
And he caught the football.
He caught the ball. I think the sad thing too with A&M is Jacoby George. I was wondering why he wasn't playing towards the end there. And then it turns out he broke his hand. So because it looked like early in the game, it looked like he had a little promise going there. That's really disappointing to see. But it's also disappointing. He got suspended for whatever reason, and that's just some of the boneheaded crap that to say Mario's going to clean that up in year 1. And not have that happen is, unrealistic. But especially given the previous culture of kind of anything goes. But I liked. So he really called the wide receivers out in that press conference the other day, and he's like, put it on record. You better have 100 receptions or routes.
Yeah, but
after that, but. My question would be, why wait till now? We knew this.
Yeah, I don't think they're waiting till now. I don't think they were waiting until now. The receivers have been topic of conversation for 6 months. I think that's just, Mario's just frustrated, man. It's like there's nothing that meant more to him than winning that game Saturday night, and they came up short. And they came up short while being dominant at the line of scrimmage, and that hurts even more. And they just badly want those guys to play better. And I was just talking about the body language on Brashard Smith after. It was kind of like, oh, well, I dropped the ball and he just went walking. I mean, no, man, you didn't just drop a ball. Like, you dropped the ball that ended the game, and you guys had another 30 seconds left, and you're at their 30-yard line, and you had a chance to go score. Like, that was a big deal.
I was pissed. Seemed a lot more pissed off than he was. I mean, I really couldn't be that upset after that game. I was, well, we had plenty of bourbon keeping us in good cheer, but it was, it was just nice to be in that game the whole game, but it was just very frustrating, especially. There was another thing I said last week, and so this is one that everyone's been piling on with Gaddis and the play calling, and like, look, hindsight's 2020. We certainly moved the ball on him, no doubt about it. Does he need to get something figured out in the red zone? 100%. Here's one of the things that concerns me. Shadell brought it up a couple weeks ago, where he just didn't like the idea of a wide receiver coach being the OC. I'm not a big fan of it either. And, I looked at it like he had one good recruiting year at Alabama with wide receivers. Other than that, like Michigan, his wide receiver recruiting was bad. It was not good. And you can see the lack of talent. And that seems to be one area where we are really, some of the other areas we haven't like dominated the position, but we've also got like fallback stuff where we can easily put together a nice class. Like secondary, I'm not too worried about it. They're big game hunting over there. And I mean, no doubt they're doing it that at wide receiver, but they just seem to have zero traction anywhere with this difference makers. And, Joseph and Washington, those guys are great, but they're slot receivers. How many slot receivers do we need on this team? A dozen? Like, we need some outside perimeter guys with size that can go up and win, those jump balls. And it just seems like all those guys are just slipping away again. And his track record at Michigan especially is a little alarming to me, especially for Mario wanting such a, high-end recruiting staff. It's like, I don't know. And there's a lot of opportunity to negative recruit him on it based on, how things are looking so far this year.
Yeah.
I was just curious what your thoughts are on that.
About negative recruiting?
Well, just, I mean, the wide receiver and just, I don't know if Gaddis was just kind of filling in the best option for what was available at the time when Mario was putting his staff together. I mean, I was fairly excited. He was a Broyles winner, but, you just look, his receiver production at Michigan was pretty abysmal, and his recruiting there for wide receivers is not very good either. And the problem I have with it is that if you want to talk about one position that South Florida is hands down above everyone else, it's wide receiver. So it's like, we can't capitalize on it. We really don't have much of a recruiting advantage being in South Florida when your best commodity is leaving the state all the time.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a problem right now. And I'll just talk about it here for a second because it was one of the questions that I was asked to address by the subscribers on CaneSport.com. Receiver recruiting right now is not going according to plan. I mean, Brandon Innes, looks like he's almost definitely going to Ohio State, although I'm sure they will take another shot at him in December. Andy Jean from Miami Northwestern is presently committed to Florida. I do think that one could. I think there's still an opening there for Miami to stay in there. Obviously, Ray Joseph is committed to Miami, and Robbie Washington is committed to Miami. I like both those guys very much. Hakeem Williams is going to announce later this week. I believe he is going to announce that he is going to FSU. And, that one really stings. And I think a lot of it is just he wants to get away from home for college. A guy they do have a chance to get is Tyler Williams from Lakeland. I believe he might come in again this weekend for another look at the Canes, and I think they got a shot there. But I think they will be looking at more wide receivers moving forward in recruiting. I think they will expand the board and try to get in on some guys that are committed maybe to other schools and stuff once they finish working through these guys that they've been recruiting. But no, it is not going great. I don't know that I blame Josh Gaddis for everything, but it is definitely not going according to plan.
Hey, Gary, 2 questions for you, and then just go ahead and put me back on hold. This is a quick question for you. Number one, what's going on with Jury and Dickey? Have you heard anything there? And number 2, why is Miami the only one held to the account of winning by South Florida recruits? It just blows my mind.
Man, that's a great second question, man. That's a great second question. All right, Dickey right now.
My team's going to FSU, who's had 5 losing seasons.
Well,
and we're not good enough.
Yeah,
come on.
I mean, obviously FSU will pay whatever they got to pay NIL wise to get him. So if it's a bidding war, I don't know. But Dickey right now is committed to Oregon. I am not sure at the moment whether that will get revisited or not. But it's interesting what you say about Miami being held into account for the winning and that. I think it's a natural byproduct of those kids living down here. And let's face it, we are not the easiest fan base on our teams down here. I mean, when things don't go well, the noise gets very loud, and it's heard throughout.
Alabama fans want to fire Nick Saban when he loses 2 games in a season.
Yeah, but so, Alabama is recruiting.
Like we're the only.
No, but Jake, wait a minute. But there is a difference. Alabama's recruiting is national. Okay, Miami's recruiting is locally centered. Okay, and all this noise that's going on all the time is heard by the kids. Let's be honest. It is. I mean, we lost the game the other night, and I mean, we want to get rid of the offensive coordinator. We want to get rid of the quarterback. There's a lot going on here. The receivers are under assault. And the kids notice that. So I think that's the answer to your question. Why it's more of a factor.
That's a fair answer. I mean, yeah, it's a big media market. A lot of word gets out. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Hey, Gary, appreciate everything. Great show. Hopefully we bounce back big this week. So I'll be at the game rooting them on. So. All
right, Jake. Thanks for being part of it, man.
Win.
You got it.
Yep, appreciate it.
All right, my man, Cran Writer. Oh my God, dude. You're out of control. You're like spamming the chat like there's no tomorrow on YouTube. So many, everything's negative, dude. Come on, man. There's got to be some positive stuff you could say. I mean, you want TVD benched. I'm not quite sure that that's going to happen. You're ridiculing the team going 10-2, saying that they're going to go 7-5. Here's my question for you. Are you really a Miami fan? That is the question. The evidence is not looking great on the chat tonight. And I know you're active on our daily YouTube comments too, but come on, man, let somebody else get a few words in. I'll Cran Writer 818 Cali Canes pointing out that Cran Writer is a super negative 40-year Canes fan. All right, so I'm assuming they know each other, and I'll take his word on it that he's a 40-year Canes fan. But my God, the negative tag applies in a big-time way. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go now. I don't think we've done the 727 yet. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey Gary, it's Jake from St.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I have nothing new for you.
No, I got you. That's my bad. Let's go to the 386. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary, I appreciate you taking my call.
Oh, no sweat, man. Who's this?
It's Will.
Hey, what's up, Will? Welcome back.
Hey, I am a true Kane fan. I don't want to get rid of anyone. I picked Miami to win the Coastal before the season started. I hate to renege so early, but I'm just not sure about that anymore. After seeing, I hate to rain on whatever all the positive things people have said about Gaddis, but I was disappointed in what I saw from the offense Saturday night. I feel like we lost to a team that we were better than. The offense, you know, I thought the first two games they played that they probably were hiding their hand, but I just didn't see any creativity at all. So I'm thinking now, you know, the North Carolina game has me worried. We probably gonna have to score in the high 30s, maybe in 40s to win that. The Pitt game could be a slugfest. Florida State, our rival, anything can happen. The trip to Clemson, I'm just hoping, you know, what happened the last time we was up there doesn't happen again. But I just wanted to comment on that, but I have a couple of questions here. One thing that bothers me, you know, everyone is making a big deal about Restrepo being out. And correct me if I'm wrong, Restrepo is a good receiver, I admit that. But he is not someone that is keeping the defensive coordinators up at night or someone that's projected to be a high draft pick. Am I right or wrong?
I would agree with you on that. You know, yeah, I think you're right. Very good possession receiver, would have been a big factor right now because the quarterback believes in him and he's a security blanket for the quarterback. But I agree with you. I mean, that, you know, NFL scouts, they'll respect the contribution he's making, but you know, I mean, he just doesn't have the measurables to be a first round pick or anything like that. But he's a very good college football player, and he's a great locker room guy. Very good for the team.
Okay. My second thing I wanted to touch on is I didn't expect him to start or anything, but I kind of expected him to, you know, to be in the rotation at linebacker. What is going on with Avery Hope?
Man, God, I almost don't even want to answer that question. I think Avery struggles. You know, he's got a lot of athletic ability and he helps on special teams and things. I just think he struggles with schemes and you know, responsibilities and reliability, you know, in knowing that he's going to do the right thing play after play. And because of that, I don't know that he's ever going to be a linebacker here. I mean, this is the second staff now. He has the athletic ability to do it. Just hasn't been able to put it all together. And I think, you know, guys like Wesley Basaint and Chase Smith will ultimately pass him by. And I don't know that he'll ever play. There's going to be, you know, here's what I'll tell you. Here's what I'll tell you. Okay. Last year we had 21 guys leave in the transfer portal. All right. This year, I'm expecting at least another 15 to end up in the portal. Yeah. So I think there's a decent chance Avery Huff will be one of those.
Another thing that's mind-boggling to me, and I criticize Manny Diaz's staff for the same thing, but all of these great athletes that Miami has on its football team, why is it so hard to find someone to run back punts?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because you got to have the right mental makeup to do it. We were interviewing Keyshawn Smith a couple weeks ago, and that subject came up. And Keyshawn Smith says, I will do anything for this team but return punts. He loves returning kickoffs. He is not going to have any part of returning punts. And there aren't a lot of guys that want to return punts. And, you know, even Tyreek, who's done it, you see what happened, man. That, like, he's sitting there ready to field the ball. The ball takes a high bounce, and he's sitting there about to get absolutely killed, and he flinched. Okay, if you look at that closely, and I'll throw it up again real quick so people can see what I'm talking about. You will see that he flinches just as the ball's getting to him, and he gets crushed by two guys. It's a hard job, man, and not everybody has the mental makeup to do it. And the guys that do it in high school are often the smaller, shiftier guys. Well, that doesn't fly in college, man. Like, you could try putting like a Malik Curtis back there, for example, but he doesn't really have the body to take those hits, So I don't know. Hopefully that'll change and they'll start recruiting guys to do that. I mean, if you watch,
I just want to
Will, if you watch,
go back to something I told you last year, and I just wanted to remind you of it. And if this Mario Cristobal thing don't work out, you're the one that's gonna be tarred and feathered now.
I understand.
So
listen, I am going down with Mario Cristobal. Let me tell you something. You don't see how much improvement there's been in this program to this point.
I agree.
Recruit the whole program, the quality of the coaching, the infrastructure, the investment by the university. They're getting ready to build $100 to $150 million complex. What else? Nutrition, weightlifting. There's not an area of this program that is not better than it was 9 months ago. Okay. And I know it hasn't shown up yet. It didn't show up at Texas A&M the other night in the form of a victory. It did show up in the form of the way the game was played, how physical they were, how prepared they were. Listen, they're young kids. They dropped some balls. They muffed a punt. They missed some field goals. They lost a tight game on the road, okay? Don't let it deceive you or distract you from all the positive things that are going on in this program right now. And yeah, I will listen, to me, this is it, man. If Mario Cristobal can't get this thing done and finish this thing off over the next 5 to 10 years, there's nobody out there that's doing it. So don't even start the fire Mario nonsense, okay? Forget about it. I'm just saying, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about, I'm talking about everybody in general. I mean, Nick Saban isn't coming here, okay? He's in his last days at Alabama. There is nobody out there. Like, these schools keep firing their coaches, hoping they're going to find the magic wand and hire somebody like Nebraska or whatever. They're going to bring Urban Meyer back out of retirement, for the third or fourth time. I mean, listen, like, there are not many guys out there that can do this job. And at Miami, it's really, really tough. And I'll tell you right now, if Mario can't do it, Miami's in trouble, because for the next 20 years, this is your guy, in my opinion. I mean, this is your guy. Well, he's 50. I'd say for at least the next 15 to 20 years, this is your guy. You want him to succeed. You don't ever want to replace Mario Cristobal. That's my opinion. And if you want to tar and feather me, if you think I end up being wrong about it, you can. And I will still stand tall there and tell you the same thing. This is the guy to run this program.
I agree. So I'm just, the thing that bothers me is I feel like Saturday night we lost to a team that we were better than. And
in many ways, yes.
Miami going on the road playing these high-profile games that getting all this attention from the media and the fan base, and we just keep coming up short. So
yeah, but Will,
frustrating.
But Will, let's look at what really happened. I mean, Texas A&M didn't turn the ball over. They didn't have that many costly penalties other than their targeting calls. They caught their passes. Their running back did a great job getting to the end zone. Jalen Knighton had a path to the end zone and got tripped up by the ankles. Let's be honest. I love Jalen Knighton, but he's got to make a better cut on that run. It was like well, walk in. You got to score on that play. What else? When they muffed the punt, they got the ball. Okay, so that was luck on their part. Otherwise, Miami gets the ball at the 5-yard line and probably scores a touchdown, right? So there were a lot of things that went on in that game, but you got to give Texas A&M credit for playing a pretty clean game.
Where you can get me out of here on this, cause I'd like for you to comment on this. So are you now worried about the North Carolina Pitt and Florida State game?
I was worried about him always. Like, listen, I've been doing this as long as you've been watching it. Okay. There are going to be 4, 5, 6 games a year that are going to be live in the fourth quarter. Okay. And they're going to swing on a couple plays in the fourth quarter. That is absolutely going to happen. We had one of them on Saturday night. Okay. Where, and I've said this from the beginning, like, my one worry about this team, who is going to make the plays that are going to define these games? Who's going to make the big play? I think back a couple years ago to KJ Osborne, who's now still in the NFL, running that great route and catching that slant at Pittsburgh and scoring, and the Canes steal one that they had been losing at Pittsburgh. That is going to happen. Like, without a doubt, this year, there are going to be 4 or 5 of those games. Where are the playmakers on this offensive football team? Who is going to step up? Jalen Knighton, you need to be one of those guys. You cannot get tripped, okay? That cannot happen if this team is going to achieve. I mean, like, look at this, Will. He's got a lane to his left right into the end zone. He gets tripped up by the ankles. He has to see that guy. He's got to cut sharper and get away and stay away from that guy. Make that guy miss. He has to score on that play. Who are the playmakers that are going to do better than that? That's my question.
Okay. Hey, once again, I appreciate you taking my call here.
No sweat, man. Hey, thank you as always for being part of the show. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad. If you would like to come on the show, let's go to the 205. You are live on CaneSport Live.
What's up, Gary? There goes JC4. How you doing?
How you doing, man? What you got for us tonight?
Yeah, it was a tough pill to swallow. That one was, I harken back to an analogy from my baseball days. In Major League Baseball, they say you really only get one drivable pitch per at-bat. And in a heavyweight bout like we were in on Saturday, when the other team shows their chin, you got to hit it. And we didn't make the plays when we had the chances, and we lost. And that was a tough pill to swallow. It's probably one of those things Mario always talks about where, we got to learn some hard lessons. But if you would have told me that we would have controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides against Texas A&M, that we would have outgained them, outrushed them, really controlled the game, you look at the bones of the game, there's a lot to build off of. I mean, I look at the stats after the game, and I like to do this, but if you take away the first drive of the first half and the first drive of the second half, that's 47% of their yards the entire game. So that tells me that Kevin Steele, being an incredible defensive coordinator adjusting on the fly, is making adjustments in game that it took Manny Diaz a half or an entire game to make. And that is so valuable. That tells me that these guys are getting coached, that they're prepared, that they're seeing the scripted plays coming out of the first quarter to the third quarter, and those are always scripted plays. But once they get settled in and they see the new stuff, these guys are really playing great defense, and defense keeps you in ball games.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They are playing great. Hey, before you go on, the guys on the chat, Ryan Gill is making a call out to Crayon Writer to call in the show and represent himself. Dude, stop hiding behind the chat, okay? Stop hiding behind the keyboard. You are annihilating everybody, okay? We got about 10, 15 minutes of show left here. 563-999-3550. 1 on your keypad. Get your butt into the queue, and let's hear you, speak up for yourself and stop trashing everybody in the chat. My God, you've made about 200 posts. I can't get through them all. All right, sorry about that. Just had to make that shout out, so go ahead.
No worries.
I mean, I don't know if you're looking at the chat. This guy is insane. He's out of his mind. He's like, so, oh my God, it's crazy. You got to look at it before you go to bed. But go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We just got a whole sideshow going on over here.
No worries. Another encouraging thing was I really don't think that. I think the passing game had a lot to do with a lot of little things, and I don't think it's so necessarily. I think the route concepts were really, really cool. I actually did not have any problem whatsoever with how the game was called. There were plays to be made all over the field. We just got to have somebody make the damn play when it's there. Whether it's running the route wrong, whether it's timing, whether it's TBD just missing, I think those things are all correctable. And as long as this mindset that Mario has of improving week to week and being a better version of yourself week on, I mean, it would not surprise me, and I know this, it would not surprise me to see Miami go into Clemson and win the game if they make these simple
100%.
adjustments.
100%.
Right. Catch the ball when it hits your hands.
You got 2 months to get ready for that. Restrepo should be back by then. I mean, you got 2 months to figure it out and be ready for that game.
And you and Matt talk about on your CaneSport Live or CaneSport in the morning, Good Morning CaneSport, about how you haven't had a lot of time with the coaches. Well, in 2 months, you've had a lot of time. You've had an amount of time where you feel comfortable in the system. You can make these things happen. So I'm as disappointed as I am that they lost the game, because truly they did control it, and I didn't expect that. I didn't expect the offensive and defensive lines to win their respective matchups. If you had told me that, I would have thought we won the game.
Yep.
But if you had looking at the bones of what we got and these simple correctable mistakes, this team could be a really good football team this year.
I agree. I listen, I totally remember. I'm not predicting they're going to win the national title, but remember that team in 1983 got beat at Florida and came back and won every game. These guys just got to take one day at a time. Okay. One day, they got very good coaching going on there. One day at a time, keep getting progressively better. Don't lose sight of these opponents week to week, because they aren't going to be the pushovers that a lot of people in the general public are going to think they are. And just take care of business.
They never are, Gary.
They never are. No. I mean, what did North Carolina know? I know it was what they scored 40-something points in the fourth quarter a few weeks ago, North Carolina. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, I mean,
these teams are dangerous.
They're dangerous.
Miami, everybody likes to think Miami has these elite athletes, but if you look at the NFL draft, we really, really don't.
Yeah.
We really, really don't. And these teams compete with us year in and year out. I mean, look at the results of the last 5 to 10 years. We're always in dogfights with these teams. So expect there to be dogfights. Just have the expectation that if this team does continue to improve, then they can win these games. And I know we all want to be Alabama and we all want to be Georgia, but there are teams that win 9, 10, 11 games every year that are not Alabama and Georgia. And that can happen this year. You just got to continue to improve. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely do. I mean, you have to keep getting better every week. I mean, other teams are going to get better. I mean, App State lost that game 63-61 to North Carolina and then went and beat A&M at A&M. I mean, they got better while losing to North Carolina. I mean, and that's going to happen in a lot of places, and you just can't sit in the same spot. You just got to keep going, keep getting better, and take your best shot week after week. All these teams are going to be competitive. They just are. I mean, they're Georgia Tech's not looking real competitive, but look at Duke. Duke's way better than anybody thought Duke was going to be this year.
No doubt.
Look at Florida State. Look at Florida State. They're way better than anybody thought they would be. Now they've been lucky. They've gotten some luck to win their games, but you got to get luck. They're going to have 6, 7, 8 close games this year too. You got to get lucky if you're going to win the majority of them. Miami didn't get lucky the other night. Miami had no luck the other night. When that ball was on the ground, when he muffed that punt, it didn't bounce to Miami. When Miami dropped the ball and it was on the ground, it bounced to Texas A&M. Thin razor margins, man.
Yeah, that's football.
It's a very small margin, very thin margin. These games come down to a few plays.
You're absolutely right. Well, like I said, I don't want to take up if there's another caller, but the bones are in place. The trenches are being developed. The offensive line is playing better. We are running the football against formidable fronts. We just need to correct the little, small, minute deficiencies in the passing game. Majority of it was timing. Or receivers running routes to wrong depths. I mean, if you go back and watch the game, they're running routes too long, or Tyler's throwing the ball when they haven't even come out of their break yet. That's fixable stuff.
Yeah.
It's not people not being able to get open.
Yep, agreed.
People are flashing open. It's got to hit them.
All right, man.
Fixable stuff. I'm really encouraged.
Thank you so much for being part of the show. Give us a call next week.
I will. Thanks.
Yep. All right, let's go out to the 419. This better be Crayon Rider. If not, Crayon Rider, you better call now, man. You're running out of time. Let's go to the 419. You are live on CaneSport Live.
No, this is Ohio King, Gary. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, this Crayon Rider, man, he's on my nerves tonight. He's spamming the chat.
I don't even know who this guy is, but yeah, it sounds like it.
He's spamming the chat, and he's not calling in.
You always get one, but I thought that last time made some excellent points. I called last week, and I was entirely skeptical of the O-line, and I was just impressed with the physicality on both sides of the ball.
Yes.
I couldn't believe what I was watching.
I couldn't either.
And yeah, I was in shock. If you told me before the game, listen, this is what's going to happen. We're going to rush for almost 180 yards. Tyler Van Dyke can get sacked at all. I think we win by 2 touchdowns. But unfortunately, some of our shortcomings in other areas showed up big. And I'll tell you, I think that a lot of things, I see a lot of fans on the message board, major complaints, kind of like the Debbie Downer syndrome. And it's like, how can you not see the difference in the program in this short amount of time? I mean, mine gets to play with that type of physicality. Since a Notre Dame game in 17? I mean, we really had. I was impressed. And I thought, it's going to be 2024, as I thought, when we could really take over the ACC. I thought Mario needs 2 classes, to filter out.
He might.
Just to bring in some top grade talent. And I'm telling you, if next year, if we could recruit some talent at the receiver position, maybe go into the portal, you will see Gaddis' offense and why it works and why he was the Broyles Award winner last year. If you give him a game breaker with a running game and a game breaker receiver, let me tell you something, that play action bomb's way will be lethal.
Yeah, I didn't see any problem with it. I'm watching receivers running free. I'm watching the running game working. I don't know what everybody's problem was. I mean, the problem was in the execution, not in the play calls and stuff. There were a few in the red zone that might have been better, but the theory behind them wasn't bad. I mean, he's looking at a 3-man front inside the 10-yard line, and Mario's telling him in the headset, you got 2 downs to score, and it's 3rd and 6 from the 6. He's thinking, like, we got to be able to gain at least 5 yards on this play, and if it's 4th and 1, I'm going for it. So, like, I didn't have the problem that a lot of people had with it.
Not at all. And you'll see once we get a little bit of better quality of wide receiver and athlete in, what this offense can become. Because I'm telling you, when he was at Michigan last year, I watched them play Ohio State, and they ran the ball at will. And when they ran play action, I mean, they could have done anything they wanted. Ohio State had no idea how to stop them. They were that good. Now, were they on the same level as Georgia? No, but I think that we can get better athletes than they're getting in Michigan.
There's no doubt.
I think that's good. I think that next year, you're going to see exactly how good this team can become. I honestly am really impressed with what they did.
No doubt.
It was beyond my expectations.
I totally agree. And to criticize the fact that he wasn't throwing the ball, I mean, guys weren't catching it. I mean, Brashard Smith had that ball right in his hands on 4th down on that play late in the 4th quarter. It went right through his hands. Henry Parrish was wide open on that earlier play. I think it bounced off his chest, like they weren't catching the ball.
Yeah.
They Michael Redding had one or two drops. I mean, who are you supposed to throw it to with the game on the line? Who? Or do you take a shot? Your offensive line's been dominant all night. They're playing 3 down linemen, and you're sitting there thinking that we can knock this into the end zone in 2 plays. Like, what's the sounder thought going through Josh Gaddis' head? I have no problem with it. I really don't. I'll be critical. I've been critical plenty over the years, but I'm not criticizing what I saw Saturday night. No way.
He threw it 41 times. How many times do you want to throw it? 60? I mean, 41
times
is a heck of an amount of time.
Right, and the argument against that is, only 41 times because they were playing come from behind in the fourth quarter. All right, so maybe he would have thrown it 35 times in a normal circumstance and run it 35 times. Might have been 50-50. Well, like, what's wrong with that?
I agree.
We don't have receivers. We have an average core of receivers, and I'm sorry if anybody is offended by that, but they can prove that they are better than that, and then we will all change our opinions. I will be the first one to lead the wide receiver parade if those guys start making plays down the field and start catching the ball. But right now, I don't see anybody stepping up. Nobody's stepping up. I don't see anybody in that room stepping up. So.
I agree.
And it's killing this team right now.
I'll tell you right now, you look at Bama, they're going through it just as much as we are this year.
So is Texas A&M. I was talking to their receivers coach, who happens to be our former offensive coordinator when we were up there the other day, and he was lamenting that he doesn't have more receivers. One of their freshmen did some stupid stuff the night before the game. He's their best. They have a true freshman. He's their best receiver. They had to suspend him the night before the game. They didn't have him Saturday. And they felt like they were very light at receiver, and they certainly didn't impact the game with receiver. That one kid was pretty good. But they're going to need a lot more than one to get through the SEC. Mean, a lot of teams don't have enough receivers, I guess. But look, I mean,
we need to creep up the Columbus.
Yeah. Somebody's got to step up. If you don't like what everybody's saying, step up. Somebody's got to step up.
Somebody in the portal, you look at a team like Ohio State, they got 4 or 5 receivers. You have to hope a team like that loses one. That's what happened with them the year before, 2 years ago when they lost that Jameson Williams. They're so loaded at receiver. That team has like 5 of them.
Yeah, they keep recruiting more. They got Brandon Innes right now. Yeah.
I know. It's a kid you'd love to have on the staff, but can you blame the kid for wanting to go play in Columbus?
Yeah, I do. Have you ever been to Columbus?
Oh, yeah, I live in Ohio.
I mean, I don't want to. I hope I'm not offending you. I was not impressed with Columbus, Ohio, when we went there a few years back.
You hate Columbus. Let's say you're not impressed with Columbus, you hate the rest of Ohio.
No, wait. Let me think where I've been. I've been to Cincinnati. I thought that was fine. I passed through Cleveland, but I mean, Columbus was just kind of blah to me. I don't know. I mean, I guess the campus is nice, but.
It's big. The campus, you don't realize how big that campus is. It's like a city within a city. It is a really tremendous campus. And, Ohio State fans, as wild as they are, they get behind their team.
Oh, absolutely. They've got a good fan base. Totally agree.
They do.
Yeah.
They're wild, but, I mean, they're a great fan base. I mean, they really get behind them. I mean, Ohio State, they're still going to put 100,000 in there.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, thank you for being part of the show. Give us a call next week.
You have a good week, Gary.
All right, Cran Ryder wimped out, soft. He can't handle this. So he's not going to be part of the show this week. Hopefully he will decide to be down the road because, I mean, what he's doing in the chat is just insane. He's like I said, he's spamming the whole thing, dominating the whole thing. Anyway, let me, before we go, address some of these questions that were submitted by the posters on the message boards at CaneSport.com. The question is Middle Tennessee a trap game? A letdown after A&M? I don't think so, simply because they're decent on offense, so that'll get the defense's attention. They can throw the football at times, and I think there's a lot of pressure on the offense to get things going and kind of work out kinks that came up at Texas A&M. So I am not expecting a trap game or a letdown game. I'm expecting a good performance going into an open week. Then they got 2 weeks to get ready for Carolina, and I'm expecting the offense over these next few weeks to figure it out a lot better and be ready to slug it out with the Tar Heels. What will Josh Gaddis do scheme-wise to get TVD going? I think one of the things they're doing is what TVD said today, is that they are looking at what he did best a year ago, and they will try to incorporate some of those concepts into this year's offense and just get him back to being confident in what he's doing. He's looked a little tentative at times. He's holding the ball a little long at times. Sometimes maybe because receivers aren't breaking open. Sometimes where he's processing where to go with the ball, and he's also forcing some passes too. That's not TVD. That is not the TVD we came to know last year. So they may try to reach into the old playbook from last year and bring some of those concepts to the table. Let's see here. Before the season, Jay Collette is saying that before the season, I said that Jalen Knighton was going to be elite this year, and is clearly the number one back. It hasn't played out that way. Why? Well, it hasn't played out that way yet. I mean, he is still working his way back from injury. He is still the guy that is best equipped to make the best plays. He's maybe not quite as tough as Henry Parrish. He is quicker, more elusive when he's totally healthy. Needs to make a few better cuts, man. He like that play I showed earlier. He should have been in the end zone on that play. Just has to keep working at it. Maybe, get a little bit more serious about it and be a little more intense about his craft. And I hope that we'll see better Jalen Knighton moving forward. Although I thought he played pretty well the other night, other than missing that cut for sure, because that should have been a touchdown. Hurricane Blaze is talking about a two-back set with Parrish and Knighton. The problem is this, okay? You've only got 3 running backs really right now. I mean, you could say you got more if you want to dip into the walk-ons. But right now, and Thad Franklin, I know he's looked good against weaker competition. The 2 best backs are Parrish and Knighton, okay? So right now they are platooning those 2 guys. Maybe when a Chaney comes back, I'm not really sure what Citizen's timeline is. He's still pretty much, I think, on crutches. I don't know if he'll even make it back at all this year. So I'm not sure that we'll see a lot of the 2 of them together. We are seeing some of Arroyo as an H-back in the backfield. I like that. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes from here. Dalkane is asking about Greg coming on. Greg didn't call in tonight. I also want to know, where the hell's Ross? Like, Ross has been missing in action this whole season. So, we definitely want to hear more from those guys. They've been some of our better callers throughout the years, and hope they come back soon. All right, so let me just one last time check the queue. Oh, I think we have had a call come in. Let's go to the 801, last call of the night. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Gary, it's me.
Oh, you already on?
You hear me?
Yeah, who's this?
This is Cran.
Oh, finally. Jesus. All right. Dude, what is up with you, man? Like, I've never seen so much negativity in my life. My first question, are you really a Canes fan?
Absolutely. Since 1986.
Well, you're being kind of tough on everybody, man.
Yeah, I am. But I'm sad.
Well, give us a summary. Give us a summary real quick. Take us home and give us a summary. Give us a glimpse inside the mind of the Cran man, and like what's driving all these posts and opinions and stuff. Take us inside.
Nobody else speaks, so it just looks like me.
Go ahead, man. Give it. Take it. I'm giving you the floor. This is it. This is your moment. What's on your mind?
What is the question,
you want?
Well, my question is, you've made about 150 posts on the chat tonight.
Do I really want Garcia to take over as quarterback? Yes, I do.
Okay, why?
I think he's got natural confidence that TVD doesn't have.
How many times have you met Jake?
0.
So what are you basing that opinion on?
I've seen him on videos and in games.
Nah, Jake's great. Jake is great. I'm a huge Jake Garcia fan. People criticize me on our message boards at CaneSport.com because they say I'm too much of a Jake Garcia fan. I really like Jake Garcia. He's a really good kid. And I hope that people don't get into his head right now. I mean, he doesn't need all this. Jake should be playing in, bench Tyler. The team doesn't need that right now. Jake is fine. Jake has been working back from his injury. He's progressively been throwing the ball well in practice. And if he ever has to go into a game, he will be ready. But I hope that people do not get into his head and pollute the whole environment. And, it's going to be hard enough getting through this and seeing what happens with Tyler. And then is Jake going to stay? Everybody in the world's going to want him to go into the transfer portal. So we got a long road to go here with Jake and Tyler. And, I just hope it works out. And I think it would be good for everybody to just let them do their thing. They're both good quarterbacks, and see where this goes. What else?
How long? For how long do we do that?
Well, you just lost a tight game on the road, and I don't think you can make an argument that it was because of Tyler Van Dyke. That wouldn't really be very fair.
I don't know. I can make him.
If everything else, if there's no muff, if there's
Gaddis.
Listen, if there's no muff punt that turns into a touchdown, if there's no 2 missed field goals, if there aren't 7 drops. I could go on and on and on. Then maybe, Tyler Van Dyke missed a handful of passes that he should have completed. But I don't know, man.
To me, it's the way he throws to everybody, even if they're 2 yards away. He throws it as hard as he can. So
he didn't do that last year. He looks to me like he's trying too hard. It looks to me like it's all getting to him. The Heisman talk, the agents, the NFL, the NIL. There's a lot going on in Tyler Van Dyke's life. Okay. To me, it looks like it's getting to him a little bit.
I agree, but I also don't think that means he's immune from ever being taken out this season if he's not up to it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, we got to go now for tonight. I hope that in all seriousness, I was joking around with you tonight. I think your passion is incredible. I see you every day on our YouTube chat.
It feels like I'm tagging.
Yeah, and no. Listen, we appreciate. We appreciate you. We appreciate you to the max. We love your passion. In fact, I think Matt Shadell was joking with me that we should have you on Good Morning CaneSport one day because of the way that you comment in the chat and stuff. But keep doing what you do. Thank you so much for being Thank you for being a passionate fan, and don't let this be the last time you call in. All right.
All
right, man. Yep. Thanks for calling in.
All
right, guys. That's going to do it for tonight. Great show. I enjoyed it. Hope you guys did too. Couple program notes. Good Morning CaneSport tomorrow morning. The Lamar Thomas Show tomorrow night. I think we're going to have Antrell Roll and Art Kehoe as our guests. So that should be a lot of fun as well. A lot of good stuff on CaneSport.com. A lot of analysis. Hope you guys are subscribers. If you're not, take advantage of our $1 annual introductory special that is part of our deal this year in transitioning to the On3 network. We'd love to have you part of our community. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time, everybody.